This is the final segment of our program this evening, and we're enjoying it so very much, talking about anti-aging and wellness. And we have in the Bahamas, Christine and Bianca, a tremendous amount of people who are suffering from non-communicable diseases, hypertension, diabetes. So in addition to obesity, we have all of these illnesses, and someone said we are killing ourselves because of our lifestyle, and because of what we consume. We are what we eat. So the whole idea now is to reverse the trend, to get a healthier population. You have said a whole lot of things here today that are quite instructive to people who are listening and watching you this evening. The question for many of them is, how do I make that leap, that change, and so that I do not get one of these non-communicable diseases?
Those diseases are preventative diseases, which means that there are two ways to approach it. One is that you have to start reversing them, and that's one of the more difficult ways because it's going to take, as I said, habit changing. That's a mental change on how you look at food, how you think it tastes, how you think it's going to make you feel. The next way is that we have to get into our kids' environment more, and we prevent these non-communicable diseases by teaching them how to eat differently and drink differently. We need to open up more public platforms where we can have people who are in this field, in holistic healthcare. It's not just one field. We're looking at the whole person, and we can share this information on a broader scale so that we can give examples of what to do. We can have our own little internal challenges and form groups of people who are going to try eating a salad a day, as an example, for a month. And let's record how you feel. Let's see what changes in your family dynamic even, because there's something that's called the energetics of food. The energetics of food lets you know that the way that something is grown, or the way that it's slaughtered or brought to the masses, holds the energy in that cell and then is transferred into our own body. So if we're eating dead food, dead animal food that's swimming around in dead blood, and we're cooking that, how is that going to help us feel energized and enlightened? But if we eat food that is fresh picked, it's light, it can blow in the wind, or even if we look at fish as an example, you know, it's moving and it's light and it goes and our body can digest it easily. We don't need a knife to cut it. That will give us a lightness of being also. It re-energizes the cells. If we have a re-energized and nurtured body, that means that the way we communicate becomes different. We don't feel as much anger and fear and frustration. What we tend to feel is lightness and energy and opportunity and possibility. I'm not saying that food creates all of that, but it's definitely a part of it. We also have to start being a little more together with one another, that when you're feeling down or something's going on, you know you have someone to call. And you can say, listen, this is going on, lift the burdens off of you. And that again creates this lightness of being. We've become very individualized, where I can do it, I have to. As I know me as a parent, it's very often that, where, well, what am I going to cook to dinner? Well, how about let's practice a few different recipes, and Bianca, maybe you one day are going to cook us a vegetable lasagna, who knows? And then you're going to share that with my family, and I will do the same thing. And this is actually something that's starting in the little Montessori program that my son is going to, where we have Community Food Friday. And each parent is responsible for bringing something healthy to the school for the kids.
You're against meat.
I'm not against meat. I am for a primarily plant-based diet. I do not think that human beings should eat pork, because I know pork is very difficult for the digestive system to break down. I think that meats ought to be eaten as we would have in our original days, on feast days. We now eat food like there's a feast every breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So we're eating too much food. We're afraid of not eating enough. But this is because a lot of times people are eating empty food, and it makes them want to eat more sooner. So they say, let me just pile it all in one time, and that'll keep me going longer. If you eat high nutrient dense foods, you don't need as much of it.
So the Long Island mutton then should only be eaten on feast day?
So traditionally, we would have had Sunday brunch with the family, right? After church, you have Sunday lunch with the family. That's when we had our food. And then you had your leftovers throughout the week. Isn't that right? In my Grammy, in our home, that's what we did. And I know that's traditionally Bahamian. But now we are having meat and rice and this and that every single night. And so guess what happens? You have people who are not eliminating from their bowels for up to 8 days. You know how common that is with a lot of the people I begin working with? How can you not eliminate? We ought to be eliminating twice a day. Chronic constipation, medically speaking, is defined as only using the bathroom once a day. Chronic constipation. And so we begin to think it's normal to let it go for, you don't go for 2 to 3 days. Or we think it's normal that you should sit around with big bellies hanging over, you know, or it's normal that you have poor circulation, or it's normal that you feel weak in the morning, so you need to drink coffee. I'm not anti-coffee, I think it's great, but we ought not rely on these things. And as I said before, when you're working with a car, you don't have a choice but to put gas in that car to make it work, because a car is a car. A human body is a human body. You do have a choice because we're thinking beings. But if you want this to run optimally, you will exercise, and you will eat your vegetables and your fruits, and you will reduce your portion size, you will drink your water, and you will do your best to organize your life in such a way that you can maneuver through the stresses. And there's lots of different ways to do that. Like, this topic is it's so important, because this is what affects the way that our families work and our community works and our society in general works. We can become a nation that's ranked in the top 5 of happiness throughout the world. We can be a nation where we aren't ranked as number 6 in obesity. You know, we can. Of course we can do it. But we now need to be a community and share this knowledge and work together, and not be this individualized group, and we have to come together now.
Bianca, bring her back, okay?
Yes, definitely.
Let us have another conversation with her. We are flat out of time, and perhaps we can do a series of programs on wellness. I'm so happy that you came along today.
It's my pleasure, Mr. Jones. I appreciate it, and Bianca.
Yeah, we learned a whole lot today. And so we have to credit Bianca for bringing you along. And, you know, we get together every weekend now, so we'd be happy to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching and listening to our program today. Good evening.